I've been playing Genshin Impact for the last 4 years, and honestly, it's been an incredible journey. One that still doesn't feel boring or repetitive. But here's the thing, this game hasn't exactly gotten the reputation it deserves. People often misunderstand it. They see it as a gacha grind or an endless treadmill of daily commissions. And yeah, I get it. On the surface, that's easy to believe. I've played Genshin almost every single day for over 3 years. More than 1,000 days of activity, dozens of unlocked characters, and I still log in almost every day. But why? I hear you asking. How can I keep playing when so many say the endgame is boring, repetitive, or feels like a chore? Am I crazy? Something must be wrong with me, right? Well, not really. And that's what I want to talk about. Some of what I say might seem harsh or unusual, but it comes from a place of honesty, and I definitely don't mean to offend anyone. What I say are just my opinions and my experiences. As such, I do not expect any of you to agree with me. That said, remember to leave a like and subscribe, then get comfortable, because I wanna show you what Genshin Impact really is. Not through marketing hype or corporate messaging, but through the lived experience of someone who found a home when they needed one most. So let's start with the most basic question. What even is this game? Now, this is an extremely hard task for me to do. How do I talk about a game as huge as Genshin Impact? Just look at the map, bro. And the lore, the mechanics, the content, the characters. This game is insane. Way more complex than you can even start to imagine. Even as an experienced player, I still find new things and lore pieces that always leave me speechless. There are so many things I would love to go in depth about, but this already long video would easily become tens of hours long. If you're curious about something and want me to talk about it in more detail, just leave a comment. I'd be more than happy to talk more about this game. So, on the surface, Genshin Impact is simple. An open world action RPG with anime aesthetics, elemental combat, and a gacha system. But the longer you play, the more you realize that description barely scratches the surface. Genshin isn't just an RPG, or just an action game, or just an open world. It sits in a weird, beautiful middle ground, a place where flashy gameplay, emotional depth, peaceful exploration, and story-driven moments coexist in perfect harmony. One moment, you're triggering a chain reaction of explosions that wipes out enemies in style. The next, you're walking through a quiet forest, listening to a soft flute melody, and feeling completely calm and relaxed. The game constantly shifts between excitement and tranquility, but it never feels forced. You choose the pace, and the world adapts to you. Combat is part of the charm. It's simple to start, but deep if you want it to be. You don't need a master's degree in mechanics to feel awesome, but if you want to min-max elemental reactions, optimize team compositions, or experiment with unconventional strategies, there's room for that too. It's approachable, but never shallow. Honestly though, the strongest moments of Genshin aren't always in battle. They're in the quiet moments, the small stories, the personal connections, moments that hit harder than any boss ever could. For me, the perfect example is the Yoimiya questline with Avin, the little girl in the wheelchair. I need to break this down because this is the kind of story that makes Genshin feel like a real place, not just a game. Picture this. You and Yoimiya find yourselves in Sumeru, excited about chasing the legends of a meteor shower. While wandering, you meet a young girl in a wheelchair, Avin. She's lonely, sad, burdened by illness, and slowly losing her memories. Yoimiya doesn't just walk past. She sits with Avin and gives her a small gift, an Aranara carving, a little wooden trinket. To Avin, it's more than just a gift. It's a symbol of kindness. Already, it feels human. It feels real. Then the story deepens. Avin goes missing. You track her down, following her wheelchair tracks, fighting enemies who stole it. You bring it back, but the real magic happens when the Aranara help her through a dreamlike ritual. In that dream, Avin stands up for the first time in years. She runs, laughs, and chases after a star with Yoimiya. For a few precious moments, she's free. Not fixed, not cured, but given hope. then the sky lights up with a meteor shower. Teyvat feels alive. The game stops being mechanics and numbers. It becomes memory, dream, and emotion. When the dream ends, Avin is still in her wheelchair, but something has changed. She carries a spark of hope. Yoimiya, and by extension you, helped give her that. And this is where Genshin stops being just a game. A simple wooden carving becomes more powerful than any 5-star weapon because of what it represents. Empathy, human connection, hope. And that impact goes beyond the screen. For me, this quest captures why I keep returning to Teyvat. The world isn't just beautiful, it's meaningful, it's emotional, and human. Over time, I found my comfort spots, places I teleport to when life got heavy. Hagwang Stone Forest, for example, quiet, isolated, and peaceful. A place that feels like it waits for me, unchanged, no matter how much time passes. The game just gives me time to think at my own pace. No push, no judgment, no constant progression. It feels like the game is saying, hey, you're back, take your time, relax a bit, calm down, everything is alright now. I remember logging in one day, overwhelmed, barely holding it together in real life. I didn't fight, I didn't farm, I didn't do any quests. I just walked, and suddenly I broke down into tears. The game wasn't a distraction, it was a safe space that let me breathe. It's crazy, considering I found Genshin almost by accident. I used to play Honkai Impact 3rd on mobile at the time, and one day I saw a YouTube ad with that familiar MiHoYo logo. I tried it on my old laptop. It ran at something like 4 frames per second. I didn't even know you could change graphics settings, so I quit. I came back 3 or 4 months later after learning what optimization meant, and well, here we are, 4 years later. That return wasn't during a good time. COVID was in full swing, school assignments were piling up, I was drowning in depression. It got so bad I stopped showing up to online classes. I just played Genshin instead. I know how that sounds. Game addiction, escapism at its worst, right? But here's the thing. Teyvat didn't let me escape. It gave me a reason to keep going. That's the difference most people miss. That's why I log in every day. Not for content. I log in because Teyvat feels genuine, filled with people who care, stories that matter, and emotions that don't feel fake. This world helped me heal, reflect, and feel something real, and I genuinely thank the team behind the game. It's rare for a development team to give not just a game, but a space where people can belong and find comfort, especially in today's gaming industry. And speaking of the industry, let's be real for a second. So many big publishers release unfinished or barely polished games. Ubisoft, for example, keeps pushing out titles full of bugs, broken mechanics, and rushed content, then stacks microtransactions, loot boxes, battle passes, and aggressive monetization overall on top. Players are treated like wallets, not people. Yet, some people call Genshin greedy because of its gacha system. That completely misses the bigger picture. Compared to most of the industry, Genshin isn't forcing anyone to pay. It offers a full, polished game, rich in story, exploration, and music, with regular updates on top of it. Spending money is optional, and feels more like supporting a team that actually cares, not being squeezed like in so many EA or Ubisoft games. You don't have to pay $60 for the base game, $40 for DLCs, $20 for season passes, then still deal with bugs and microtransactions. In Genshin, you can experience everything, every quest, every region, every story, without spending a single cent. The entire game. No paywall content, no exceptions. That's honestly unbelievable. That's the real difference. While much of the industry treats players as income, Genshin treats them like people. It respects your time, your emotions, and your curiosity. And curiosity is actually rewarded here. People see the gacha, the daily commissions, the resin system, and think, oh yeah, this is just a mobile game trying to trap me. But if you're willing to trust it and give it time, you realize that the game goes much, much deeper than that. Since I started playing Genshin Impact, logging into the game wasn't a chore. It was the one thing I actually wanted to do. The one space that didn't demand I be anything other than curious. The one place that didn't judge me for struggling. Commissions weren't obligations. They were gentle invitations. Hey, maybe visit Monster today. Maybe check out Dragonspine. Or don't. Whatever you need. Whatever you feel like doing. The game never punished me for not optimizing. For not being perfect. For taking days off when I couldn't handle it. And that flexibility, that lack of judgment, that saved me. So why do people feel the pressure? Well, because they are imposing a competitive mindset onto a cozy game. Genshin Impact gives you just enough daily routine to keep your account ticking over. It's a minimum requirement to stay current, and you don't actually have to follow it. But that minimum requirement is there so that on the days when life is overwhelming and you only have 10 minutes, you can still feel like you accomplished something. On the good days, the real game, the massive questlines, the exploration, the new regions, is always waiting for you. The commissions are the floor, not the ceiling. And I will tell you even more. You don't have to log in every day. You don't have to do commissions. You don't have to grind. There are also other games out there. If you feel tired of Genshin, just take a break. Play something else or just go out, I don't know. Nobody is forcing you to play if you don't want to, and it is very important that you only play when and if you feel like it. So no, commissions aren't a chore to me. They never were, because I never let them become the point. The point was always the world itself. And when you approach Genshin as a world rather than a checklist, everything changes. There is another complaint I see everywhere. Genshin needs a skip button for the dialogue, the cutscenes are too long, I just want to get to the gameplay. But here's my hot take, and some of you are going to hate this. Asking for a skip button in Genshin Impact is like asking for a skip button in anime. Because that's what Genshin is. It's not a loot grinder with story as a side dish. It's not an action game with occasional narrative breaks. Genshin Impact is, at its core, a playable anime. A visual novel with exploration and combat woven into it. The story isn't interrupting the game, the story is the game. Think about it, the game structure, its pacing, its priorities, everything points to this. Massive questlines that span hours, character stories that dive deep into backstories and relationships, world quests that explore the history and culture of each region, cutscenes that are animated with cinematic quality. This isn't filler, this isn't padding, this is the point. When you watch an anime, you don't skip through the dialogue to get to the fight scenes, right? I mean, you could, but then you'd miss the entire emotional context that makes those fights matter. You'd miss the character development, the relationships, the stakes. The fight becomes just flash animation without meaning. Genshin works the same way. The combat is nice, yes, the exploration is rewarding, absolutely, but they mean something because of the story wrapped around them. When you discover a hidden area, it's not just a chest to loot, it's a piece of history, a fragment of someone's life. Strip away the dialogue, skip all the cutscenes, and what are you left with? A pretty but hollow world. Characters you don't care about. Conflicts that mean nothing, just mechanics and numbers. Because here's the thing, if you genuinely don't care about Genshin's story, if you find every cutscene tedious and every dialogue box an obstacle, why are you playing Genshin Impact? There are plenty of games that prioritize combat and loot over narrative. Games where story is minimal and skippable by design. Games that respect your desire to just do things without all the talking. Genshin isn't one of those games, and that's not a flaw, it's the decision that makes it stand out. Because while every single other game focuses on multiplayer and grind and squeezing money and hatred from people, Genshin Impact is one of the few that says F you to the entire industry and gives you not just a game, but a story worthy of a novel. The game is designed for people who want to be in Teyvat, not just play through it. People who want to know the characters, understand the world, feel the weight of the conflicts. People who don't see dialogue as an obstacle, but as the very thing that makes exploration and combat meaningful. When I helped Shao confront his karmic debt, when I watched Furina's mask finally crack, when I said goodbye to Jeht in the desert. Those moments mattered because I was there for the build-up, I heard their stories, I understood their pain. The game didn't rush me through it, it let me sit with these characters and really know them. And that's why when those big emotional moments hit, they hit hard, because the game earned them. And here's something people don't talk about enough. The gameplay people say they want to get to, that's also mostly story-driven. Exploration is dripping with environmental storytelling. Every ruin, every abandoned camp, every mysterious structure has a story behind it. If you skip all the dialogue and cutscenes, every piece of lore, you're not getting to the gameplay, you're stripping the gameplay of its context and meaning. You're turning a narrative-driven adventure into a hollow checklist. The thing that frustrates me most about the skip button discourse is that it misses what makes Genshin Impact special. This game respects its own story. It treats its characters as more than gacha commodities. It builds a world with history and depth and meaning, and then players want to skip all of it? It's like buying a novel and complaining that there are too many words, like going to a museum and being upset that there are descriptions next to the art, like watching a movie and fast forwarding through everything except the action scenes. You can do that, but don't be surprised when the experience feels hollow. So yeah, I don't want a skip button. Not for main story quests, not for character quests, not for world quests. Because if I skipped all of that, I wouldn't be playing Genshin Impact anymore. I'd just be clicking through a pretty, yes, but meaningless shell of a game. And Teyvat deserves better than that. The characters deserve better than that. And definitely the story deserves better than that. If you genuinely can't stand the dialogue, if every cutscene makes you want to close the game, maybe take a break, maybe play something else for a while, maybe come back when you're in a mood for a story-driven experience. Because that's what Genshin is, that's what it's always been, and honestly, that's what I hope it will always be. The point was always the world itself, and when you approach Genshin as a world rather than a checklist, everything changes. If you want checklists, grind, competitiveness, hatred, just play other games. Fortnite, Valorant, Counter-Strike, Call of Duty, Battlefield, you have so many choices. People treat Genshin as a multiplayer game or an MMO even, which is completely wrong and missing the point. The game is 99% focused on single player, and when you see Genshin as a world to inhabit rather than content to consume, you start noticing things you'd otherwise miss, like how every corner of that world is crafted with intention. When people dismiss Genshin Impact as a gacha grinder, they rarely think about how the world itself is one of the main draws. For me, exploration has always been the backbone, the reason I treat the game like a living landscape instead of a checklist. Rewarding exploration has been the thing that somehow ties together the characters and the lore for the entirety of the game. The world of Teyvat isn't just big, there are many games out there with a big map, but the world of Teyvat is layered. Sprawling plains, dense forests, high mountains, islands, hidden caves, rivers, and ruins. Every region feels distinct. Take Qingyun Peak's floating island in Liyue. You see it from below and think, how do I even get up there? The game doesn't tell you. You have to figure it out. Climb, glide, experiment. And when you finally land on that floating rock, there's a chest, sure, but more importantly, there's this moment of, I did that, I figured it out. Or in Yoimiya, this entire underground civilization with day-night mechanics you control, hidden beneath Watatsumi Island. The game doesn't make it obvious. You have to explore in Azuma, do certain quests, pay attention, and when you finally discover it, it feels earned. Or the Sea of Bygone Eras in Fontaine, this massive underwater realm that shouldn't even be possible. But there it is, fully explorable, full of secrets and stories, and moments of genuine wonder. These aren't just content to clear, but discoveries, and the distinction matters. Walking through it, climbing peaks, gliding down cliffs, crossing rivers, or discovering a hidden ruin. That helps making the game more of a world to live in and less of a list of content to clear. And that design isn't shallow or easy. Often, exploration is its own challenge. You have to climb, run out of stamina, glide, swim, search carefully, or solve environmental puzzles. The game doesn't hold your hand. It trusts you to explore, to discover. The reward isn't always primogems or rare loot. Sometimes it's just a breathtaking view, a new lore snippet, or a calmer moment when you just walk. Natlan changed something fundamental about exploration. Take Chaska. With the right team, you can fly over basically the entire region. And I get why people love it. It feels cool AF. But here's my thing. When you can fly over everything, you stop looking at everything. You trade discovery for efficiency. You might as well just use the teleport waypoint. But maybe that's fine for some players. Hell, maybe I'm just nostalgic for the difficulty there was in the beginning. However, I miss when reaching the top of that mountain meant something. When finding that hidden cave required attention, not altitude. I'm not saying Natlan is bad, I'm saying it's different, and that difference has been revealing to me. I now know one of the reasons that made early Genshin exploration special to me. Exploring means checking every corner, observing every structure, mountain, river. That's important, because when exploration has friction, when it's not trivial, it becomes meaningful. Every discovery feels earned, and when you open that cliffside chest or walk a secret path in the forest, or find a piece of interesting lore tucked away in some random ruins, that moment resonates and stays with you. The map is crazy big, and despite that, every single spot on the map is carefully handcrafted, full of chests, puzzles, sillies, and the thing I really love about the exploration in Genshin Impact is that it actually rewards players for being curious. As I said before, the game rewards curiosity. Every single corner on the map, suspicious looking flowers, and other such things can hide a chest, a puzzle, or some piece of lore. The more curious a person is, and the more patience they have, the more they get rewarded. I know I will sound like a boomer, but it is very hard to find a game that requires patience in this day and age, where it seems like art has lost value and purpose and everything is made to require the least amount of time possible. Of course, exploration is almost completely optional and it is not a requirement for progressing through the game, but avoiding exploration means, in my opinion at least, avoiding a big portion of the beauty this game has to offer. For me, there were nights when I didn't play to farm or build my characters. I just logged in, picked a character, and wandered. Climbed that mountain, went to that weird looking place. No urgency, no resin timers. I'd climb a mountain, watch the sunset, listen to the music, and breathe. I've been struggling lately. Life has this way of piling things all at once. Pressure from my job, problems in my personal life, my YouTube channel falling off, friends drifting away. That anxiety that sits in your chest and makes everything feel heavier than it should be. That depression that whispers, you're not enough, not good enough, never will be. And in those moments, when everything in my real life demanded something from me, demanded I be productive, be present, be better, Teyvat asks for nothing. I teleport to Hagwang Stone Forest, just stand there, watch the light filter through the stone pillars, listen to the wind rustling through the trees, feel the weight in my chest start to loosen. That night I broke down crying for the first time in weeks. I had permission to just exist without performing, without proving my worth, without being anything other than present. That's not just game design, that's understanding what people need sometimes. That's compassion built into the form of a game. So yes, exploration isn't a side feature, it's one of the foundations. Without it, Genshin would just be another gacha RPG. But because the world feels real, layered, and alive, it becomes a place that feels nice to be in. But what makes these quiet moments work? What turns a pretty landscape into a feeling? Well, the music. Another of the greatest things about Genshin Impact is how its music doesn't just sit in the background, it breathes life into the world. The soundtrack was composed initially by the othermost Giga Chad Yu Pang Chen and the Yoimiya studio, and is crafted specifically to reflect and enhance the unique vibe of each region, character, or situation. Because I'm a musician myself, I feel it deeply. The weird scales and harmonies, the traditional instruments, the careful orchestration, the weird but interesting mix of genres. In Liyue, the OST blends melodies played on traditional instruments such as guzheng or bamboo flute with sweeping orchestral backgrounds. That mix gives me both ancient fantasy China vibes and the emotional weight of cinematic music at the same time. I do not really know how to properly explain this in a way that you'll understand, but for a musician, when these kind of things are done correctly, it means an overdose of feelings and true emotions coming to the surface. Now, this is not a sponsorship nor a collaboration, but there is this guy on YouTube called Alex Mukala who did some reaction videos to a few Genshin Impact soundtracks. If you want to see with your own eyes part of the excitement a musician feels when hearing those pieces, you should check his channel out. Walking to Teyvat, it feels like I'm crossing borders. I don't just see, but I can hear it. A melody can shift with the wind, the weather, the landscape. A flute theme in a quiet forest. Strings swelling when I crest a hill at sunset. Those aren't just background music, they are part of the world. For me, that's a big reason why it never stops feeling alive. I actually listened to pretty much all the game's soundtracks while writing the script for this video, and I can confidently say the music of Genshin Impact feels like traveling through different cultures, not just nations. The music has identity, soul, and feels realistic, if that makes any sense. It feels like it was written by a real person in a real place. It gives realism to the places in Teyvat. Even as the game world changed over time, new regions, new updates, that core musical identity stayed. It evolves, but it feels rooted. That's rare for an ever-evolving game like Genshin. In short, without the music, this game could still be a nice open-world RPG, but with it, it becomes that place you can feel and connect with. There are things that words or pictures on a screen simply can't convey. That's when music becomes the key to a good narrative. I would show you a list of my favorite Genshin Impact tracks on screen, but there are too many. We're talking more than 600 pieces. This game has such a huge discography that just going through it and recognizing my favorite pieces took me almost 2 days. So please, if you didn't already, leave a like and subscribe because this video took a lot of effort and time to make. Also, if you guys are interested, I can make a Spotify or YouTube or Apple Music playlist and share the link in the description. Just let me know in the comments. Landscape and music alone, however, don't make a world feel alive. A beautiful soundtrack in an empty world is just a pretty shell. You need people, you need stories, you need characters who feel real enough to care about. Probably the deepest and most valuable part of Genshin isn't just the scenery or the music, it's the cast of characters and the story that ties them to the traveler, and by extension to the player. The lore, the journeys, the relationships, they make Teyvat feel alive, full of people with hopes, conflicts and pasts. As you may or may not know, you begin the game as a traveler, separated from your twin sibling, arriving in Teyvat, waking up with nothing but a name and a purpose. Your mission starts simple, find your twin, but as you journey to the 7 nations, you get pulled into deeper conflicts. Nations ruled by elemental gods, politics, ancient prophecies, divine wars, hidden truths. This path gives meaning to your presence. You're not just a wanderer hopping from region to region, you're part of something bigger. Every quest, every arc, every decision adds weight. For me, that made the game feel like an epic story, not just a loot chase. I started feeling part of Teyvat, even if I was not, and here is why. What makes the journey meaningful aren't just the high stakes, but the relationships I built along the way. As traveler, I met dozens of characters, each with their own history, burdens, hopes, fears, and often I became part of their story too. There's a constant companion from the beginning, Paimon, who isn't just a guide, she's been my anchor in a foreign world, someone who introduced me and even cutely tried to defend me multiple times. This scene right here is why I started loving her. Take Xiao. On the surface, he's the edgy yaksha with trauma and a cool design, but his story quest reveals something that genuinely moved me. This is someone who's been fighting alone for centuries, bearing karmic debt that slowly destroys him, convinced he doesn't deserve connection. And then you show up, consistently. You don't try to fix him, you don't lecture him about his worth, you just stay. That's masterful character writing, not through monologues or dramatic revelations, but through quiet, earned moments of trust. I relate to different characters for different reasons. Kazuha's calm, his acceptance of wandering, his ability to find peace in impermanence, that speaks to something in me. And Furina. Oh, Furina is fascinating because she's both incredibly strong and desperately fragile. She suffered for centuries alone, performing a role she never chose, and when the mask finally comes off, what's underneath it isn't weakness, it's humanity. These aren't just characters, they're perspectives, ways of seeing the world, of handling pain, of finding meaning, and the game gives you space to connect with them on your own terms. And there are mysterious and interesting characters like Ganyu, a half-human, half-chilling being who hides parts of her heritage until trust is built up. That made me appreciate how the game uses story to build empathy, conflict, and identity. I remember the end of the Golden Slumber questline in Sumeru's Desert. Jeht, this character you've journeyed with, fought alongside, grown to care about, makes her choice, and she lives. The screen fades, the quest completes, and I just sat there, staring at the screen, because it felt real. Not like a narrative bit designed to make me feel something, but like a genuine goodbye from someone I'd known. It took me some time to process what just happened. That's what good storytelling does. It doesn't manipulate, it resonates. These characters are very similar to real people, with their own problems, issues, and personalities. Through main story quests, side quests, character quests, anecdotes, world quests, and everything else, the game gave me chances to learn about people, about their struggles, about their hopes. And if you play the game the way I did, at your own pace, these experiences feel scarily real. I don't know man, call me schizo or whatever, but these characters just feel alive. There's this achievement in Genshin called Hunter's Mercy. It's not difficult to get. Technically, anyone can do it, but it comes from the Tadla questline, and I don't know man, when I got that achievement I just sat there for a moment. Not because it was difficult to get, but because it meant something. The quest, the story behind it, the choice you make, it all resonated in a way that felt personal. That's the thing about Genshin. The moments that hit hardest aren't always the epic boss battles or the major plot twists. Sometimes it's just a choice, a conversation, a quiet ending that feels true. I met characters with pasts, dreams, regrets, flaws. They're not perfect heroes. Some are broken, some are lost, some are righteous, some are ruthless. And I didn't just fight alongside them. I lived their moments. I tried to help them. I listened. Sometimes I just witnessed. Sometimes I saw myself in them, or at least the version of me of that moment in time. These characters gave me a sense of belonging. They made me feel less alone in my own struggles. They showcase that even the strongest have their own demons to conquer. When I talked about Genshin helping me out in bad moments of my life, well, this is exactly what I meant. This is why in this game you don't just use characters, you meet them, you journey with them, you become part of a network of people, of a world that feels more real than just stats and loot and whatnot. These characters aren't just stories to experience, they're not passive narratives you watch unfold, you interact with them, you fight alongside them. And the combat system, that's where another layer of Genshin's depth reveals itself. Now, let's talk about combat, because this is where a lot of people either fall in love with Genshin or completely misunderstand what it's trying to do. On the surface, combat in Genshin Impact looks simple. You have a character, you press buttons, enemies take damage. Easy, right? And yeah, it is easy if you want it to be. You can play through the entire game just button mashing and swapping characters randomly, and you'll be fine. The game doesn't punish you for not optimizing. But here's where it gets interesting. Beneath that simple surface lies a combat system so deep, so layered with possibilities, that even after more than 1,000 days of playing, I'm still discovering new things. The heart of Genshin's combat is the elemental reaction system. You have 7 elements: Pyro, Hydro, Electro, Cryo, Anemo, Geo, and Dendro. And when you combine them, magic happens. Literally, apply Hydro to an enemy, then hit them with Pyro, vaporize, massive damage multiplier. Cryo then Pyro, melt, even bigger numbers. Electro and Hydro, Electro charge, continuous damage that can chain between enemies. There are also reactions like Shatter and Crystallize that even I still don't fully understand. And these aren't just damage numbers going up. Each reaction feels different, plays different. For me, I absolutely love Hyperbloom and Overload. There's something incredibly satisfying about Hyperbloom. You apply Hydro and Dendro to create Dendro cores, then detonate them with Electro for these homing projectiles that just delete enemies. It feels smart, strategic, like you're setting up a chain reaction. And Overload, the explosions, the impact, the way enemies get launched into the air, it's pure chaos and I'm here for it. Here's where Genshin's combat becomes truly special. You're not just playing one character, you have a team of 4, even 5 in a few special situations, and you can swap between them instantly at any time during the fight. This changes everything. Suddenly, combat isn't about individual characters anymore. It's about synergy. It's about how characters work together. Each character has their own abilities, their own elemental application, their own role. And when you combine 4 of them, the possibilities become almost endless. With my 81 unlocked characters, the possible team combinations are nearly endless. Mathematically, there are over 1.6 million possible teams. Have I tried them all? Not even close. I probably experimented with 5, maybe 6 teams seriously, and that's the beauty of it. I could spend years testing combinations, but I don't have to. The game respects that some players want to theory craft and optimize, while others just want to find a few teams that feel good and run with those. Both approaches are valid. Let me give you an example from my own experience. I very recently discovered this AFK team, and I'm not even joking about the name. It's Lauma, Mavuika, Raiden Shogun, and Furina. I literally just use their abilities, and wait, their off-field damage, their reactions, their synergies, they just handle everything while I stand there. It's hilariously effective and it feels like I've somehow broken the game in the best way possible. And that just one team composition out of thousands or possibly even more. I'm not good at maths. So with just my 81 unlocked characters, I could spend years just experimenting with different combinations. Freeze teams that lock enemies in place, uprise teams that delete bosses in seconds, Hyperbloom teams that just look amazing AF, national teams that have been meta since the game's early days and still work perfectly. Every character has their own kit. Some are damage dealers, some are supports, some are healers, some are enablers who apply elements so others can trigger reactions. And the beauty is that almost any combination can work if you understand the mechanics and use them to your advantage. But here's the thing I love most about Genshin's combat. You don't have to understand all of this to enjoy the game. I'll be honest, my learning curve curve with combat was very long, and that's partly because I'm not really into character builds and optimization in any game. For the longest time I didn't even try to understand team compositions, artifact stats or optimal rotations. I just played. I used characters I liked, pressed buttons that felt good, and enjoyed the spectacle. And you know what? The game let me do that. It didn't punish me, it didn't lock important essential content behind. You must have a meta team. I experienced basically everything Genshin had to offer just by playing casually and learning at my own pace. But over time, something happened. Slowly, naturally, without pressure, I started understanding more. I began noticing which characters worked well together, experimented with reactions, I paid attention to cooldowns and buff durations. My combat evolved by a large margin, but it evolved organically because I wanted to learn, not because the game forced me to. That's the genius of the Genshin's combat design. It has a skill ceiling so high that theory crafters are still discovering new optimal rotations and hidden mechanics years after release. But it also has a skill floor so welcoming that a complete beginner can feel powerful and have fun from day one. And the combinations? Man, the combinations are genuinely endless. You have characters whose entire purpose is to buff other characters, characters who heal the team while dealing damage, characters who create shields that make you invincible, characters whose abilities persist even after you swap them out, creating this layered battlefield where 4 different abilities are all working together simultaneously. There are drivers who stay on field triggering reactions, there are batteries who generate energy for the team, there are snapshots where you can lock in buffs for the entire duration of an ability, there's Furina teams built around HP manipulations, there's mono element teams that ignore reactions entirely and just stack raw damage and basically brute forcing your way to everything. I'm looking at you, Itolovers, by the way. Every major updates brings new characters with new mechanics and suddenly the meta shifts. New teams emerge, all teams get revitalized. It's a living, breathing combat system that keeps evolving. But again, and I cannot stress this enough, you don't need to engage with any of this if you don't want to. For some players, optimizing combat is the game. They love theory crafting, testing damage per second, perfecting rotations frame by frame, and Genshin gives them the tools to do that. For others, like past me, and in some capacity also the current me, combat is just the thing that happens between story moments and exploration. They want to feel cool, see pretty animations, and Genshin lets them do that too. The game respects both approaches. It doesn't judge, it doesn't force, it just offers possibilities. And honestly, that's beautiful. Whether you're running a carefully crafted meta team or just throwing together 4 characters you think look cool, whether you're memorizing optimal rotations or just button mashing, whether you're chasing 36-star abyss clears or never touching endgame content at all, I can assure you that Genshin's combat will work for you. It's another example of how this game understands something fundamental. Not everyone plays games the same way, and that's okay. Some people want challenge, some want relaxation, some want to master every system, some just want to experience the story. Genshin says yes to all of it, and that's why even after over 3 years, combat still feels fresh, because there's always something new to try, some new combination to experiment with, some new character that changes how I approach fights. The depth is there if I want it, the simplicity is there if I need it, and the choice is always mine. So yes, Genshin combat might look simple at first glance, but spend time with it, really play with it, and you discover a system that's as shallow or as deep as you want it to be. A system that rewards curiosity without punishing casualness. A system that says, here are the tools, do whatever feels fun to you. And honestly, in an industry that so often tells players, you must play this way to succeed, that freedom feels revolutionary. Much of the game, like the characters and stories, but also combat and animation, actually inspire people. You have a lot of content being made about the game, like this video you're watching right now, for example. And the fan art alone is staggering. I'm talking museum quality illustrations, frame-by-frame animations that rival official cutscenes, cosplays so detailed they look like the characters stepped out of the game. There's something special about the game that inspires this level of creative output. These aren't just people making content, they're artists using Genshin as a canvas to express something meaningful. A character design that resonated with them, a story moment that broke their heart, a piece of music that wouldn't leave their head. I've seen fan animations of character backstories that made me feel things. I've listened to fan-made arrangements of the soundtracks that somehow captured the emotional weight like the originals. I've read fan theories so detailed and well-researched they could be academic papers. That's not just fandom activity, that's a community that cares. And Hoyoverse knows it. Here's what really gets me. Hoyoverse doesn't just tolerate this creativity, they celebrate it. Enter Hoyofair. For those who don't know, Hoyofair is an official community event where Hoyoverse invites fans to submit their creative works, animations, music, art, cosplay, and then showcases them in an official capacity. They don't just retweet fan content or give it a polite nod. They build an entire event around it. They give creators a platform, resources, and genuine recognition. Think about that for a second. How many game companies actively encourage and amplify fan creativity like this? Most are too busy issuing copyright strikes or trying to monetize every aspect of their IP. Hoyoverse, they said, you love this world enough to create for it? Damn dude, thank you! I've watched Hoyoverse submissions that are honestly, they're breathtaking. Professional quality animations that explore character relationships in new ways, musical arrangements that honor the original compositions while adding something new, cosplays so detailed you'd think they came from a film production. Take Dilong Goo's Progenitor series. These animations exploring character origins and connections with cinematic quality that rivals official cutscenes. The way they capture character mannerisms, the emotional weight in every frame, the storytelling that almost doesn't even need a single word of dialogue. Or Kiero's Blood Money, this dark, stylish interpretation that places Baiju and other characters into a modern corporate life setting and teaches life lessons while doing so. These aren't just fan projects, these are art, and Hoyoverse didn't just allow them, they celebrated them, featured them, gave them a platform. They put this front and center, they give creators visibility, sometimes even collaborate with them. That's not just good PR, that's genuine respect for the community that keeps your world alive. In an industry where companies often treat fans as potential copyright violators or exploitable revenue streams, Hoyoverse treats them as collaborators, as people whose creativity enriches the world rather than threatens it. That's rare, that's special, and it's part of why the Genshin community feels different from so many others. When a company shows you they value your passion, not just your wallet, you invest differently, you create differently, you engage differently. Hoyoverse isn't just a marketing event, it's the team behind Genshin thanking the community. So yeah, I think the Genshin community is kinda unwholesome. Not because it's perfect, it's not. Not because there aren't problems, there are problems, but because at its core, this is a community of people who found something that matters to them and they want to celebrate it together and would love for others to discover this amazing world. But I know what you may be thinking. Okay, fine, you love the game, but surely it's not perfect. Surely there are things that frustrate you, systems that feel unfair, decisions the developers got wrong. And you're right to ask, so let's talk about it honestly. Let's talk about what Genshin gets right, what it gets wrong, and why some of its most criticized systems might actually be working exactly as intended. Every video essay needs this part, right? The balanced take, the here's what works and what doesn't section. Or maybe not. Look, it's the first time ever I work on such a complex project for my channel. So sorry if some pieces feel weird or you don't understand something. But here's my problem. I genuinely struggle to find things I dislike about Genshin Impact. And I know how that sounds, like I'm some blind fanboy who can't see flaws. But hear me out, because I think my lack of complaints actually reveals something important about the game's design philosophy. Let's start with the elephant in the room, resin. The 160 resin cap, the limited daily farming, the system that everyone loves to hate. And you know what? I don't mind it at all. Here's why. If I could farm artifacts endlessly, if I could run domains 50 times a day whenever I feel like it, building a character would lose its meaning. That perfect artifact drop, it would just be a matter of time and grinding, not a moment of genuine excitement. The resin system does something clever. It respects my time while keeping rewards meaningful. I can't no-life the game into trivialization. I have to be patient. I have to appreciate progress when it comes. And honestly, in a world where games are designed to consume every waking hour, where engagement metrics mean trapping players in endless loops, finding a game that says, okay, you've done your 20 minutes of farming, now go live your life, feels revolutionary. Then there's artifact RNG, the multi-layered randomness that drives min-maxers insane. Right main stat, right substats, good rolls on those substats, and you know what it reminds me of? Rolling dice in D&D. That moment of anticipation, that hope for a natural 20. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't, but the possibility keeps it exciting. Plus, they added the artifact transmitter now. You can actually target specific pieces. The system evolved, they listened. I don't mean max, I don't need perfect substats, and because of that, artifact farming never feels like torture. I'm happy with most outcomes. Losing a 50-50 to a banner character, it sucks in the moment, sure, but it's part of the game structure. It's the cost of a free-to-play model that actually works. And here's the thing people forget. Every character is viable at C0. I never felt like a character was incomplete without constellations. They're bonuses, not requirements. Upgrades, not fixes. I spent more than $250 chasing Shenhe. I barely use her now. But it wasn't predatory, it was my choice. I wanted to support the game, I wanted that character, and the game never lied to me about the odds. Compare that to loot boxes in other games where you don't even know what you're getting or what the chances are. Genshin's gacha is transparent, guaranteed PT system, clear rates, consistent patterns. Is it perfect? No, but at least it's honest. Now, there are criticisms I see people make that I genuinely understand, even if they don't bother me personally. Every character likes the traveler. Every character becomes your friend, your ally, your companion. There's no one who genuinely challenges you morally, who rejects you, who remains antagonistic. And yeah, that's a valid criticism. The game plays it safe with relationships. It wants you to love every character you pull, so it makes every character love you back. From a storytelling perspective though, that limits conflict, that limits growth, that limits the kinds of stories that you can tell. But from a player experience perspective, I get it. You're spending money or months of saving to get a character. You probably want them to be enjoyable to have around. It's a compromise, and I can see both sides. Some people complain about excessive dialogue, unskippable cutscenes, archon quests that drag. Me, I lean back in my chair and enjoy it like watching an anime. Sometimes I find the pacing meditative rather than tedious, but I understand why this frustrates people who just want to get to the gameplay. The game respects story over convenience, and that's not for everyone. This is the one that could genuinely become a problem. As of late 2025, they've mostly avoided it. Older characters remain viable, new characters don't completely invalidate old ones. But it happened once or twice. Characters that made earlier ones feel obsolete. And you know what? The devs noticed. They adjusted. They learned. That's what matters. Not perfection, but responsiveness. Let's be clear about what this game gets spectacularly right, though. A world that feels alive, not just big, not just beautiful, alive. Every region has identity, culture, music, and soul. Combat that scales with you, simple enough for casual play, deep enough for mastery. You choose your engagement level. Genuine respect for players. No pay to win. No content locked behind paywalls. You can experience everything the game offers without spending a cent. Constant evolution, regular updates, new regions, new systems. The game improves over time rather than stagnating. Optimization for what this game offers. The scope, the detail, the ambition. It runs incredibly well. I've played AAA games with a fraction of Genshin's content that perform worse. A company that listens. Hoyover. Community feedback implemented. Systems refined based on player experience. They're not perfect, but they're present. So what are my actual criticisms? Honestly, not much. And I know that sounds like I'm dodging, but here's the truth. Most of my complaints are just things that don't appeal to me personally rather than things the game does wrong. I don't engage deeply with co-op, but that's fine. It's a single-player game with optional co-op features. I don't chase meta teams, but that's fine. The game doesn't require it. I miss limited events sometimes, but their stories aren't essential to the main narrative. The game is designed about a specific philosophy. Respect players' time, offer meaningful content, don't force engagement. If you vibe with that philosophy, like I do, then the problems aren't problems. Here's what it comes down to. Genshin Impact isn't perfect. No game is. But its flaws are largely the result of deliberate design choices that prioritize certain player experiences over others. It chose meaningful progression over endless grinding. It chose story depth over gameplay convenience. It chose accessibility over hardcore challenge. It chose slow, sustainable growth over explosive, unsustainable content dumps. And you know what? I respect that. Because in an industry that often chases every trend, tries to please everyone, and ends up pleasing no one, Genshin knows what it wants to be. And for the most part, it maintains its own identity. It keeps feeling familiar. It's a game for people who want a world to return to, as I already said. Not a game to conquer. And if that's what you're looking for, then Genshin's flaws might even actually be features, depending on your preferences. So why am I still here? After more than 1,000 days, 81 characters, thousands of hours, why do I still log in? It's not the gacha, it's not the meta, it's not even the new regions, though those are incredible. It's because Teyvat feels like home. And I know how that sounds, it's just a game, it's pixels on a screen, go touch grass. I've heard it all, but here's what people miss. Home isn't just a physical place. Home is where you feel safe, where you can breathe, where you are allowed to exist without performing, without proving your worth, without constantly justifying your presence. For me, during some of the darkest periods of my life, Teyvat was that place. When COVID hit and depression made everything feel impossible, I had Montage's rolling hills and gentle music. When school felt overwhelming and I couldn't face another online class, I had Liu's mountains to climb. When life moved too fast and I needed to just stop, I had Hagwangstone Forest waiting for me, unchanged, patient. This game never demanded anything from me. It offered, it invited, it waited. I've tried other games since discovering Genshin. Tower of Fantasy, Wuthering Waves, Nikke, even went back to other gacha games I'd played before. And you know what I found? None of them feel real the way Teyvat does. They had systems, they had mechanics, some had beautiful worlds, but they didn't have... I don't know how to explain it. They didn't have soul. They felt like games designed to keep you playing. Teyvat feels like a world that wants you to visit. And there's a difference. The music isn't just background, it's identity. The characters aren't just collectibles, they're people with stories that matter. Exploration isn't just content to clear, it's discovery that feels earned. The combat isn't just a skill check, it's personal expression. And the team behind it, Hoyoverse, they're not perfect, no company is, no person is, but they've shown repeatedly that they care. Hoyoverse celebrates community creativity, game updates address player feedback. The world keeps growing, keeps evolving, keeps surprising me. That's rare and that's special, and it's worth acknowledging. As I'm recording this in late 2025, we're in the middle of the Notcry story. The game has come so far from those early days in Mondstadt. More complex, more ambitious, more technically impressive. And yeah, some things have changed. Exploration got easier with new traversal mechanics, combat got flashier with new characters, systems got more layered with each update. But the core, the soul of what makes Genshin, that hasn't changed. It's still a world that respects your time, still a story that values emotional weight over cheap drama, still a game that says play at your own pace and actually means it. I've been asked so many times what do I hope or expect for Genshin's future. Honestly, I just hope the team keeps doing what they're doing. Keep building this world with care, keep listening to the community without being controlled by every complaint, keep taking risks with story and character design, keep surprising us. I hope they don't lose sight of what makes Teyvat special in the pursuit of trends or competitors. I hope they remember that not every system needs to be more engaging. Sometimes restraint is the feature, not the flow. And for me personally, I hope I'm still here to experience it. I hope life allows me the space to keep returning to this world that gave me so much when I needed it most. Because Teyvat has been more than entertainment. It's been therapy. It's been inspiration. It's been a reminder that beauty and meaning still exist, even when real life feels too heavy. So here we are, at the end of something that took me longer to create than I ever imagined it would. If you've made it this far, seriously, thank you. This is not the casual thanks for watching that everyone says. I actually mean it. You've just spent time of your life listening to me pour my heart out about a video game. That's not nothing, that matters. This video broke me a little, if I'm being honest. It's the most complex video project I've ever attempted, the most personal thing I've ever put out there. And sitting here now, listening to my own words played back, I can hear every imperfection, every stumble, every weird accent, every moment where I could have said something better, more clearly, more beautifully. But you know what? I'm okay with that, because perfection was never the point. This video isn't perfect, I am not perfect, Genshin isn't perfect, nothing is. And maybe that's exactly why this story needed to be told this way. Flawed, honest, human. I don't know if I'll make more videos like this. Part of me wants to, part of me is terrified by how vulnerable this felt. But I guess we'll see. Maybe I'll get better at this, maybe I'll find my voice more confidently next time. Or maybe this is it. One massive love letter to a game that saved me when I needed saving most. Either way, I'm glad I did it. Whether you're new to this channel or one of the handful people who've been here from the beginning, who show up to my streams, who leave comments, who just stick around, I need you to know something. You're not just a number to me. You're not an engagement metric or a subscriber count. When you hit that like button, when you leave a comment, when you take the time to share your own Genshin story with me, that's a real human connection. That's you telling me I felt something too. And that, to me, that's worth more than any algorithm could ever measure. One like isn't just a thumbs up. It's someone on the other side of the screen saying, I like this resonated. One comment isn't just feedback. It's a conversation, a bridge between two people who found meaning in the same digital world. And honestly, if I could make even one person smile, feel less alone, or see Genshin differently through this video, then every hour spent writing, researching, recording, editing, every moment of doubt and frustration was worth it. So thank you for your time, for your attention, for caring enough about this game, or about storytelling, or about mental health, or finding beauty in unexpected places. Thank you for watching this whole thing. If this video meant something to you, I'd love to hear your story. Drop a comment telling me about your own journey with Genshin. What moment made you cry? What character saved you? What corner of Teyvat feels like home? I genuinely want to know. This isn't a parasocial thing. I just believe that these stories matter, and your story matters. And if you're struggling right now, if life feels heavy and overwhelming, find your Teyvat. Find that space, digital or physical, solitary or shared, where you can breathe, where you're allowed to exist without performing, where beauty and peace are still possible. You deserve that. You deserve a place to rest. Until next time, whenever that is, take care of yourselves. Be kind to yourselves, and remember, it's okay to find meaning in unexpected places. It's okay to be moved by a video game. It's okay to need that escape sometimes. Art is supposed to move us. Stories are supposed to matter. And Teyvat reminded me of that when I'd almost forgotten.